All right, welcome to Fortran Bootcamp Part 6. Today we're going to talk about modules. Everything you've ever wished we would talk about, and you guys keep asking about it. So we're going to talk about modules, and then that'll lead into kind of in the next video we will talk about type-bound procedures. They really don't have much to do with them. I'm just in the habit of defining types within their own modules, and so we're going to do that in the next video. But we need to talk about modules first. So, a module in Fortran is kind of just it's a little collection of types and subroutines and functions, as well as variables. You can define variables in a module, and it's just a way of packaging them all together. So say, for example, you've got you've got a bunch of functions that deal with linear algebra subroutines, matrix solvers, matrix inversion, that kind of thing. You could package those all into a module, and then you could just use that module over and over again in your different projects and not have to worry about rewriting things out. Modules are also nice because they avoid that issue we saw earlier where if we were in our main program here and we did contains and we defined a function in our main program, then all of the variables that were declared in main were still in scope in that function. So if we define our functions and our subroutines in separate modules, then those variables aren't in scope anymore. We don't have to worry about that, which is really nice. So this is just a really simple file. Sorry, question?
As in, like, the variables that aren't in your main program can't be accessed by your module?
Yes.
Okay, not the other way around.
Yeah, not the other way around. So, and I'll show that here. So, in this file, I have my main program, and you'll notice the only thing new here is that we've called use my mod. So use is the keyword for accessing a module. It's kind of like import in Python. Kind of like. Again, Python is an interpreted language, so the way things are done are very different, but anyway, just a good way of thinking about it. So we say I want to use my mod, and up above program main, I've defined my mod. You'd use the module keyword, you give it a name, and then you end the module again, give it the name. And in this module, like I said, I can declare a bunch of variables, I can declare some user-defined types, I can declare functions and subroutines. Your types and your variables go up at the top here below implicit none, and then like we did with our program, any functions or subroutines we're declaring go below contains. Okay? So what this code is doing is program main is pulling in my mod, and then it's writing out this value for x, which x is defined nowhere in main, but it is defined here in my mod. So this is kind of like a module constant. I've imported this from this module, and now it's this value here. So I could run, or I can compile this modules and run a.out. And we can see I get hello world and this value 5 for x. I could also come in here and create a subroutine, and we'll call this subroutine hello world. We're just going to do something really simple for now. I don't want to give it any, or I don't want it to have any arguments. I'm just going to have this print out hello world, implicit none, as always, right? Hello world. Okay? And so now instead of explicitly typing out hello world there, we could just do call hello world. And there we go. So now, rather than having that action defined in the main program, we can have that defined here in my separate module. And now I can reuse that otherwise. So now, let's say it would be really annoying to have to take this block of code and copy it in between all of my different programs. And so what I can do instead is I'll just create a new file called mymodule.f90. And in mymodule.f90, I'll delete my mod here, and I'll just put it in my module.f90. Now, modern Fortran isn't really that great at recognizing modules defined in other files. And so you'll notice in your programs, this will probably have a red squiggly line underneath it. Don't worry about it. As long as you compile things correctly, it should be fine. So the trick is now we have two files to compile. We have to compile mymodule.f90 and we have to compile modules.f90. So,
But if you don't make any changes in your my module, then you only need to compile it once, right?
yes, exactly. So if I've made changes here in main, but nothing's changed here in my module, I don't need to recompile my module.
Right.
So you can compile them separately. Let's do gfortran mymodule.f90. Undefined reference to main. Oh,
Yeah.
so it won't let me. There's ways of compiling it by itself, and I'm not super familiar with that. What I always do is I just compile them both at once, but I have to specify my module first, and then modules. I just want to show you guys the output from this. So you'll notice here that I now have a file called mymod.mod. That is the compiled binary for my module. And you'll notice the code editor has no idea what to do with it because it's machine code. So mymod.mod is now the compiled machine code for this module, and a.out is my executable. Okay? So, like you were saying, Spencer, I could make a bunch of changes here. I'll just call hello world a bunch of times. And now I can just compile modules.f90. Oh, no. I do have to compile them together. I apologize. This is not something I'm super familiar with. If you use compilation tools like make or cmake, that kind of thing, then you can get it to not have to recompile things. Also, I think there's a way of telling the compiler, hey, this module is already compiled, just go look here for it, and you can handle that. But anyway, that's more advanced than we need to get here probably, but no, that is possible if you're interested in figuring that out. Yeah, so that's it for modules. Again, in a module you can define variables, you can define new types and subroutines and functions and all that good stuff, and it's a really good way to package your code. So when you write code, your main program, you probably want to keep that really as simple and sequential as possible, and bring in modules and use subroutines that are defined there to really do all the heavy lifting. Any questions? Sweet. We'll stop there then.